Deuce close. Mastering Madden.
Did the new patch ruin your offense, or have you just been struggling in general? If you have, this offense is going to be for you. This is going to be really, really simple, just a small collection of plays, but I think they're really, really, really good. Okay, so we're going to use all of the things that, in my opinion, are extremely hard to cover in this game, and we're going to put them all into one really, really simple and concise package. Okay, so the formation that we're going to come out in is gun tight flex. And this is in a number of playbooks. I forget what they're all in, but you can go to maddenfocus.com or something like that to check it out. Right now I'm in Titans, okay? And actually, though you can find this formation in several different books, it is best in the Titans because there is one play, and we'll get to that later, but you'll want to do that one. Okay, so the plays that we're going to look at here are, if we can find them, okay, we're going to hit cross here, and you see it has a nice wheel route / kind of fade thing from the wide receiver on the left there. That's virtually uncoverable. We have plays like PA post shot, which might be something that people have been using. I think I've seen it a couple of times used against me in the past. This is obviously going to be exploiting those crossers that still haven't really been totally, well, there were certain ones that were kind of nerfed, in my opinion, for this patch against certain coverages, of course, but by and large, crosses are still going to be really, really good for you. And then we have this read option, and we'll get into why you want this read option. It's really, really, really nice, and that's why I'm using Titans in this. Okay, so none of the other gun type flex have read option, I believe, or if they do, they don't have some of these other plays. And if we have time, we'll throw in this inside high low as well because it's really, really good. Okay, so yeah, without doing too much talking about it, we'll go ahead and get started, and we'll get started with cross, and I'll show you how it works against just about anything. So we're gonna go into big nickel here, and I just want to set some audibles here. I just want to get out of cover 2 man and add in cover 4. So we can kind of go ahead and check everything out here. And we're just going to go into cover 3 sky to start with. So compression, I never really liked compression these last few years, but this is something that's just too good to pass up on. So obviously you have you have a nice meshing concept right here that you can use if you want. But the main setup here that we're going to be using to exploit a lot of these defenses is just put your left slot receiver on a streak. Okay. And by the way, the positioning of this that you want it is you want this wheel route here close to the boundary. Okay, it's just going to work out a little bit better in terms of how the routes are spaced. Now, if you remember from, I believe it's my last video where I did another good mini scheme in a slightly different formation at a stack, we know that these wheel / fades are really, really, really dangerous against these zone coverages because similar to why the crossing routes are so good is that those flats don't drift back deep enough, and we can really just wait for that wheel to clear, and he's going to get wide open. Okay, so we're just going to go ahead and show you against all the different cover 3s. This one's just stock, curl flat without protect the sticks or anything like that. And you can block the running back here. We'll get into what you can do on the right side later on, but really the main thing you're looking at here before we get to that, your first read is pretty much going to be this. Wait for the wheel to develop. And if I have time in the pocket, I'm just going to throw it to there. And maybe we can make him miss and get even more than the 30-40 yards or so that we got. Okay, so just real quick, the instant replay here. Of course, you're going to hopefully your line holds up, which, I think is going to be really good lately because, the crossfire, the 335 odd, the big nickel over G glitch were patched. So you're going to have a lot more time in the pocket. Stock pass rush is still pretty bad in head-to-head, your MUT online games. And then you can have your running back to block as well because I don't really like his wheel route. So you'll have the time, and you're just going to essentially wait. The curl flat is going to hold that wheel the longest, but you see even that we just waited for him to clear, And you can even anticipate it. You can anticipate when he's going to give up, and then you can just throw that there. And what was that? 40 yards or so. Really, really easy stuff. The crossing routes here, where you have this kind of deeper drag route and then a shallow cross above him, is really just there to, like these two routes right here. Sorry, this crosser and this drag is really there to preoccupy the user. Really, what's going to happen is that this drag is going to get open because the user is going to initially start with him and then go to this crosser. And so this can be a late read for you if you want. If for whatever reason things break down, if you see pressure, that'll be an option for you. And I can just show you how we can make that an option as well. So that curl flat's going to go up a little bit, and we have this tight end underneath if we want that. But that wheel route's going to be open. Of course, against hard flats, it's going to work out. So I'm not going to bother showing you that. Against cloud flats, it works out even better because our wheel will clear it much quicker. And we're just going to throw that. And I actually threw that a bit too early. But you see how we can use anticipation to get that open much sooner. Okay, let me try cloud flats again, just being a little bit more patient. Hopefully I get time in the pocket. And there you go. Maybe I can spin this guy. No. I don't think Chris Carter has the best spin moves. But you see how really nice that is. Let's even check to cover 3 match with the seam flats. You'd think they would do a little bit better job because I believe that seam flat should carry that wheel up, but the logic still isn't there yet. And actually you could quick throw that. But yeah, this one's even worse. Okay, so any type of cover 3 is really going to be torched by this play. And you can keep this wheel route here. If you have the playmaker, I don't know if any halfbacks can get the playmaker yet, but it would be really great if you could get a table route there. That would really make things dangerous. Other things you can do is just motion this receiver out to this side. So you have a little bit more space there in terms of maybe if you want to hit this crosser. So you could do something like this where, the user will take the slot on the right. The curl flat should take the halfback, and that the crosser actually should open up if the user took the drag, but in that case, the CPU stayed home. It's not great options, but it's there that once your opponent starts to really overcommit towards this wheel, that side should open up. Okay, so nothing super good, but you can do that. Of course, you can also do a little curl flat that I showed you in the last video. That should get open up as well. Or if you want to just streak these guys out to let the wheel open underneath, you can do that as well. So not great options, but nobody is going to be able to cover that wheel over there, whether you're in, again, curl flats, hard flats, cloud flats, seam flats. They're going to get broken up. Even if you do something like manning up this guy, the angles they take are really poor. Okay, so this deep third is going to take Moss, of course, and then that man receiver is going to take Carter, but he's always going to get beat around the edge there, and you can still fit that in. Okay, actually, in that case, it was okay. Maybe the user can click on and get the pick, but what I want to show you about man coverage, and if I just go to say a man blitz here, take off some of these rushers here, man without any help over the top is going to get torched by this wheel route. So if we can just wait a little bit, and you see that. Now Carter isn't the fastest guy, so we don't have the most separation there, but you see how we can torch that. Okay, so if you're coming up against 0 blitzers, max protect, and just throw that wheel. Maybe add another guy here for the block, and you can do that. Okay, so that's how we can use that to beat all sorts of cover 3s. We can use that to beat the cover 0s and the man coverages and stuff like that. Cover 2 is a little bit tighter, but we can still get it in there. Okay, so if we go ahead and do cover 2 here, and the exact same setup, I don't know why this safety is dropping down. I think he should be up there. We can do the exact same thing. So this cloud actually sinks a little bit deeper And again, in anticipation, I threw that a little bit too early. This is still actually a new thing for me, so I'm still kind of getting the timing down a little bit. But once you do, you can see how good it's going to be. Let me just go ahead and do that, do this, do that. And something that I mentioned in my last mini scheme was that this is going to attack that dead zone similar to how a crossing route would, but it's not going to be something that the user can really latch onto unless he's really, really expecting it, and then he uses, say, the cornerback or the flat there. Because, the crosser is really easy to identify and really easy for the user to latch onto, right? Say if we're looking to this guy, he could just go ahead and do that. But it's really tough for a middle linebacker here to go to this wheel route and take that all the way upfield, especially since, this crosser in the middle will be wide open then. Okay, so that's something to really watch out for, is if your user is overcommitting, whether he's taking the middle linebacker out there or taking the cornerback or the flat defender, there should be a gaping hole in the middle for you to exploit here. And you got a few options here. You got the drag and you got this crosser here. So that's really nice. And by the way, you just saw that this kind of went off on a tangent there, but you saw how nicely open this got against cover 2. So we just waited for him to clear the cloud. Now this cloud really sunk pretty deep with him, so we had to wait a little bit. But once he was there, we threw that. And if you had Steve Smith or something, you could do the little stop, or you could do a spin and try to get around him. Or, you could slow down and try to get your crosser to block for you. That's also an option for you. It's that's also something really nice. And sometimes you'll have a situation where your crosser and this deep streak can block for you, and you can just follow your blocks if they decide to target. Who knows? Okay, so that's that. The one thing that's not really going to work out for you is if your opponent is coming out in cover 4 quarters or palms. So it actually plays it much better. So if you see here, the corner is going to match with this wheel, and he's going to take him all the way up the field. And assuming that, he's as athletic as your wide receiver, he's going to match with him all the way. So against cover 4, you're not going to be able to do that. But as you probably saw against cover 4, these underneath routes should get open, just like that. Okay, so if it works out where he's in cover 4 and he matches nicely with the wheel, you should be open underneath, because those quarter flats still have issues with some of these crossers. And they say they patched kind of the meshing concept for the quarter flats and stuff like that, but they're definitely still having some issues there. Okay, so there was no reason for that quarter flat to take the wheel, because the cornerback was also taking the wheel. So there's definitely no reason for that. And actually, that's something I might talk about. I might do a video on in-depth look at cover 4 in terms of a competitive standpoint. But that's for another time. But things that we can do if you start to see cover 4, okay? Cover 4 still has a lot of issues with crossers and deep posts. So this is going to be put into your audibles, this PA post shot, which is an absolutely insane play. Okay, so this is really the definition of Madden 19 here. You have a drag, you have 2 crossers, and then you have a deep post, all of which are going to get open against cover 4. Okay, so let's just show that. So you have a number of options here. So let's just take a look at that instant replay. So you have the drag right here. The drag gets wide open. This crosser actually is guarded pretty well. From my experience running cover 4, you could probably still fit that in. This one's wide open. Okay, so there's still a lot of issues. Although the logic is right, the leverage of how these defenders play crossing routes is still poor. Okay, so he's going to be wide open unless, a user takes that. This post is also going to be wide open. Not wide open, but again, my experience running cover 4, even a few steps is going to be hard to beat. Okay, and again, Chris Carter, I believe, is a slower wide receiver, you're obviously going to want to put your Randy Moss or your Tyreek Hill or whatever, and whoever they put at corner there isn't going to be able to keep up with you. Okay, so if you see cover 4, this is going to absolutely torch it. And in general, by the way, cover 4, these deep posts really get to it. But, this play isn't just good against cover 4. Okay, so let's show it against cover 3 here. Okay, poor pass lead there. But you see against cover 3, these crossers get open as well. Okay, so the drag underneath is open. This crosser is open, not really, maybe, for a small window. And this guy is wide open here. If you want it to be even more open against cover 3, we can put this guy on a flat, put this guy on a streak, and those two crossers are going to be just having acres and acres of space. So yeah, that's cover 3. We can also show it with cloud flats, protect the sticks, as you would see a lot. And the cloud flats are just going to make it worse. Okay? So again, we have this guy over here. And really, you're just picking what side your user's defending. Okay? Again, we'll go cloud flats, protect the sticks. If they pick that other side, again, we can do this setup. If they pick that left side, we should have over here. And it's really going to be impossible for them to cover with any sort of cover 3. Even if they do like a cross man, man just in general gets totally torched. Things you can watch out for is if they're playing cover 3 at a too high. And if I can, what are you guys doing? And they're getting really aggressive and they're cross-manning this guy. Well, it's not like a lot of other crossers. We actually still have this deep post up here, right? So that's something to kind of look out for, is that if they do everything to stop those crossers, a lot of times they're going to be giving up areas either underneath, in which we have drags, or over the top, in which we have that nice deep post. Other things, cover 2, we showed against cover 4, cover 3, all types of different cover 3s, and even cover 2 is going to get absolutely torched by this. So it's really a shame. This was a really, really big patch. We probably won't expect one for a while now. These crossers are still going to be an issue, and I suspect they're going to be an issue, all the way up until the next game. Even from there. Okay, so it's just something we're going to have to deal with. It's going to suck, but it is what it is, guys. So we showed you against cover 2, both sides. Cover 2, also, if they're not throwing that middle deep, you also got that post in the middle. So you got a number of things that you can do. Nice pass rush there. But yeah, devastating stuff. So crossers, again, you have that wheel. That's going to be really tough with meshing concept underneath that you can work into. Okay, so I won't talk too much about all the other things that you could do with it, but really it's just a matter of that wheel or the drags underneath, or if they're really overcommitting, you got the post. And then if you're seeing cover 4, or if you really want to just change it up, you got these crossing deep crossers that are just uncoverable, again, which is a shame. And then what I really want to, I forgot it was an actual audible. What we're really going to tie this up with, where this really, really gets dangerous, and why I'm going to say you really need to get yourself a Michael Vick, and you need to power him up and get him to above 88 spin move, because we're going to use him to get a ton of rushing yards with this read option. Okay, so this read option is really interesting. Let's go to big nickel. Let's say, cover 2. So if you look at this read option, and if I show the play art, there's no read defender. Okay, so there are some read options in this game, and there are some things you can do to actually eliminate the read defender. And so you don't have to worry about reading the guy, and you don't have to worry about having to hand off the running back. So in this case, you can pick whatever you want. you're going to have the blockers. Okay, so then really all you have to do is read the user. Okay, so a lot of times why inside zone or whatever is tough to run, because the user can really go aggressive onto that inside zone. But if you see him coming to aggressive down here, you can pop it with Michael Vick to the outside. So it's going to work out just like this. And if my blockers hold up, which they don't really, you can get a lot of gain on the other side. Okay, really, really nice there. So this is kind of, not intended functionality, but I think it really works nice because we're not looking, like the read option itself isn't really working in the game. Okay, because if this read defender, in this case he's not because it's kind of bugged out, but if this read defender takes Michael Vick and we have to hand it off, the numbers advantage we gain actually doesn't really translate to anything because the blocking is still kind of wonky. But in this case, where a read option, in my opinion, works better in Madden is where we can choose, we can read the user defender. If he's hanging with the quarterback, we hand it off. If he's biting down on the running back, well, we can take it with Michael Vick. And by the way, because I've actually been running some read option lately, do not be afraid to run it with Vick. Okay, he actually, despite his carrying and despite he's a quarterback, since it's a designed run play, he's not going to fumble for you. Like maybe he'll fumble just as rarely as your running backs. Okay, so, and that's going to be really good. And then if you break that spin threshold, you can just spin your way through everybody and don't have to worry about fumbling the ball or anything like that. And then again, as I was saying, if your user tries to kind of commit over here, well, you can still hand it off there and do all your stuff you would do with your running back. So you have options to go to the left and to the right where you wouldn't in any other offensive scheme. Okay, so all these schemes that I've been showing you or anybody else has been showing you, it's really just passing plays and then maybe an inside zone or a draw to work off that. But in my opinion, this really ties it all up to something that's really, really special because not only do you have devastating passing plays, but now you have a running play that can keep your opponent totally off guard, where you can pick either side and you can get huge yards off that. Okay, I don't know if this regs Vic. I think he has the spin threshold, but yeah, just go ahead. Don't worry about fumbling the ball. Go get your yards on either side. So that's going to be really, really hard to deal with. Not only that is that you also have this. The play action works off of this because once your opponent sees this animation, well, it can be a number of things. It can be this devastating passing play. It could be an inside zone to the left, or it could be a quarterback keep to the right. And a quarterback keep with a really dangerous quarterback. So he has 86 spin move in Mutt. You're going to have to power him up to get 87, and then you're going to have to put a zone round chemistry on him to get up to 88. But guys, trust me, it is well worth it. Because you're going to be able to run all over your opponent. So you see that? And just spin, do all the glitchy spins you want. Okay, so those are going to be your bread and butter plays. So you have cross, which is going to have that devastating wheel. The PA post shot, the read option. Inside high-low is also a nice little option. Okay, so we'll quickly go over that. So this play, the fade or the wheel from the slot here isn't as nice as the other one because the spacing just doesn't work out as nicely. That the flat will carry that wheel a little bit longer and there isn't really spacing between him and the cornerback as well. So you usually can't fit in that wheel unless, of course, I put on hard flats like this where I can just throw it right here. But really what it's going to be there for is to drive off that flat defender, and then we can just hit this drag underneath just like that and just hit easy yards. So just a easy high-low read there is that if they have the hard flat, we can throw that wheel or that fade, and if they don't, we can throw that drag underneath it all day long. Other things we can do is streak this tight end here so that if our user ever overcommits over there, well, this square route is actually really nice. Okay, so a nice little change up. It's not the best thing. You also have this little route to the running back, which can be nice sometimes. A little delayed halfback route. Again, against cloud flats, this type of thing, you're going to have this drag route open all day long. At the very least, you're going to get 10 yards. And then again, if you see hard flats, you should be able to hit this wheel just like that. Okay, so that's the end of it. That last play definitely isn't good as the first three, but I guarantee you those first three are going to win you a ton of games. Okay, so put that into your game plan. I would really suggest you use the Titans one because you have this read option mixed in with these other plays, and I'd really suggest you go get that powered up Michael Vick because it really ties this all up together. Okay, so try that out. Definitely let me know in the comments below what you think of it. Are you going to use it? How is it going for you? Because I really want to know. Okay, so that's it for this one, and we'll see you in the next video.